Hello neighbor, I'm Robert Burns, and it is such a delight to be back with you for this particular Sound Off feature. And what we're going to highlight today is yet another example of Governor John Bel Edwards' utter hypocrisy in his honor code about not lying, stealing, or cheating, or tolerating those who do. Now, specifically last week, there was a meeting of the Louisiana State Police Commission. It was a rather heated meeting, and we're going to give you video clips beneath the clip that I'm doing here. It was a very cantankerous meeting, particularly between two board members, one being Lloyd Grafton, who resigned at that particular meeting and resigned in utter frustration, and saying that there was simply no integrity on that board. His counterpart in the argument, and it was a very heated exchange, was a gentleman named Mr. Riecke. It was time to do a little bit of background about Mr. Riecke. He is an Edwards appointee who has now been on the board for 6 months. Apparently he will be serving a 6-year term. In doing a little bit of background research on Mr. Riecke, he seems to be somewhat of a celebrity in his own right, and we'll give you a link for his a webpage which will show that he is amongst Louisiana's wealthiest citizens with an approximate net worth of $70 million. Nothing in and of itself wrong with that whatsoever, but I will say that he is a star of reality TV series in which apparently has or did have an affinity with race cars, and you're going to see him in a video clip readily demonstrating and bragging about having over 1,000 channels of police scanners in order to avoid their radar detection as he would speed across the states with these fast vehicles. In fact, you'll see a little creative little part of the dashboard that they can quickly put to conceal this if they happen to be pulled over by law enforcement. And so there again, you don't tolerate anyone who would lie, cheat, or steal. Well, gee, I guess it must not have a convenient definition of what would constitute lying. That gee, when you notice there's all these radar detection equipment, apparently you can conceal that and say, oh, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I call that lying, Governor Honor Code. Apparently you don't, but that's just one more example of the utter hypocrisy of this administration. Now, there are some other videos out there of Mr. Riecke. We'll provide the links to those videos, but I'm not going to integrate them into this Sound Off feature. They are utterly disgusting. The language that is contained within them is disgusting. It is despicable, and I'm not going to have it as part of my main feature. So with that, let's break away and let's look at Mr. Riecke bragging about his abilities to avoid law enforcement.
Don't stop, keep on doing what you're doing.
Alright, I'm here with Jay Riecke of Team Riecke. Team Riecke always rolls hard. You actually have a ton of electronics, more than like a Japanese supercar. Can you tell me what you're running here?
Sure. Well, we have, obviously we have factory nav, of course. We have the Clarion Nice navigation system, which is a GPS-enabled navigation system, so we get real-time updates as we're traveling. We have two of the Uniden Bear Tracker 996. That's the newest scanners out on the market. We have two of them, each programmed for different states, so that we made sure we could get all the municipalities and all the state police and everybody and each one, so we had enough channels to do everything.
How many channels each?
Each one has about 1,000 channels, so we have over 2,000 different channels stored. Plus, we also brought another handheld scanner this year for close calls. That anybody that's transmitting close to us will come up on this scanner. The other scanners are constantly rolling for their pre-programmed stations. We also have a different CB this year, a little bit stronger, a little more tuned up, Cobra 148 GTL.
Now it looks stock. You must have had it all customized in here, huh?
We did. We knew that if and when we get pulled over, there's certain law enforcement agencies that frown upon this kind of stuff, so we had a panel built
That is fantastic.
that'll cover that up, and then that way when it'll look somewhat stock, and that way when we're running, we can just pop the panel off and have access to our electronics.
All right, so you've seen Mr. Riecke bragging, and I would just say, isn't it ironic, of all the boards or all the commissions that Mr. Riecke could be placed on, he's placed on the Louisiana State Police Commission. I'm beginning to wonder about any screening criteria whatsoever that is used by John Bell Honor Code Edwards. Now, you'll also see Mr. Grafton's resignation video. I would say at least from this bit of evidence, he may very well be right. There is no integrity on this particular board. Mr. Riecke took offense to that, but based on what the video you just saw, I'd say it may very well have some validity. I know this video was short. It was intended to be that way. I want to thank all of our dedicated viewers, and we look forward to bringing you yet another Sound Off feature in the very near future. Thank you so much.